Welcome to Wealth of Words, where we kind of explore the depths of these thought-provoking books
Yeah,
that shape our understanding of the world.
absolutely.
I'm Richard Navides, your co-host for today, and we are diving into a book that promises to transform how you connect with others.
Okay.
Leil Lowndes' How to Talk to Anyone.
And I'm Isabella, and I'm excited to unpack Lowndes' 92 techniques for boosting social skills and making a memorable impression.
Yeah.
So we'll be exploring the psychology behind these techniques and, most importantly, how you can actually apply them in your everyday life.
You know how sometimes you meet someone and they just have this aura about them?
Mm-hmm.
They make you feel instantly at ease like you've known them forever.
Right.
Lowndes argues that much of this comes down to mastering nonverbal communication.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah.
We often focus so much on what we say,
Yeah.
but Lowndes reminds us that our body language, our facial expressions, even the way we stand, speak volumes before we utter a single word.
Right?
She calls this creating a presence.
Right. And she dives straight into one of the most common yet often mishandled aspects of nonverbal communication, smiling.
Yes.
Have you ever received a smile that felt, well, a bit forced?
Absolutely.
Like,
Yeah, totally.
Lowndes tackles this with a technique she calls the flooding smile.
Okay.
Instead of immediately grinning when you meet someone, she suggests taking a beat to genuinely absorb their presence and then letting a warm smile wash over your face.
Maybe letting it build.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like you're telling them without words, you've captured my attention.
Mm-hmm.
Powerful stuff, right? But what's the psychology behind why this works?
Well, there's a sense of authenticity to a delayed smile. Think about it. A spontaneous, genuine smile is a reaction to something pleasurable. So by pausing before smiling, you're subtly implying that the other person is the source of that pleasure. It makes them feel valued and seen.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes so much sense. And speaking of nonverbal cues,
Yeah.
Lowndes also emphasizes the importance of sticky eyes. It's not about staring intensely,
No.
but rather holding someone's gaze just a moment longer than usual,
Right.
conveying genuine interest.
Yeah.
It's a delicate balance, though, because we've all experienced that uncomfortable feeling when someone holds eye contact for a little too long.
It's about finding that sweet spot between engagement and respect for personal space.
Yeah.
It's a bit like a dance.
Yeah.
You hold the gaze, then look away briefly, then reconnect.
Mm-hmm.
Think about someone you find captivating. Chances are they've mastered this subtle art of eye contact.
It's like they're drawing you into their world.
Yeah.
Now, once we've nailed the nonverbal communication, Lowndes dives into what she calls the art of conversation.
Okay.
And this is where she really flips the script on traditional advice.
You might think that being a great conversationalist means being witty, telling captivating stories, or holding the spotlight, but Lowndes argues that the real key is making the other person feel like they're the star of the show.
It's about shifting the focus from ourselves to the person we're talking to, right?
Exactly, and she introduces this brilliant technique called the topic goldmine. Instead of dominating the conversation with our own experiences and opinions, we should be actively mining for topics that genuinely interest the other person.
So how do we unearth these conversational gems?
Oh,
It sounds like it requires more than just passive listening.
it absolutely does. Active listening is key. It's about paying attention to the nuances in their words, their tone of voice, their body language. What are they most passionate about? What makes their eyes light up? What experiences have shaped their perspective? These are the gold nuggets we're looking for.
And once we've struck gold, how do we use it to create a truly engaging conversation?
Well, Lowndes offers this very memorable analogy, the big baby pivot.
Okay.
She suggests treating new acquaintances with the same attentiveness and enthusiasm we'd give to a baby. Imagine yourself cooing over a baby, mirroring their expressions, celebrating their every gurgle.
Uh-huh.
It might sound silly, but the principle behind it is powerful.
Okay. I'm intrigued. How does this translate to adult conversations?
Well, think about it. When we interact with a baby, we're completely focused on them. We ask questions, we listen intently, we celebrate their little achievements when we bring the same level of focused attention to adult conversations. We make the other person feel valued and heard, fostering genuine connection.
So instead of hijacking the conversation with our own agenda, we're creating a space for the other person to shine.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing that everyone has a story to tell. And by being genuinely interested, we unlock a treasure trove of insights and connections.
It's a subtle shift in mindset, but it can have a profound impact on how we connect with others. Instead of approaching conversations as an opportunity to impress those goals, we approach them as an opportunity to learn, to connect, and to share in the richness of human experience.
Now, beyond the art of conversation, Lowndes also dives into another fascinating area, how to stand out silently through the power of body language.
Yeah.
This is where we get into those subtle cues that can make a world of difference in how we're perceived.
It's about recognizing that our bodies are constantly communicating, even when we're not saying a word. And by becoming more aware of these nonverbal signals, we can use them to our advantage.
One technique that really stood out to me was the hang by your teeth visualization.
Oh, yeah.
Lowndes suggests imagining an invisible string attached to the crown of your head, gently pulling you upward.
Have you tried it?
I have.
It instantly shifts your posture. It
Yep.
makes you appear taller and more confident. And it's not just about appearances when you stand tall and open. You actually feel more confident. It's a two-way street.
And it's amazing how such a simple mental trick can have such a profound impact on how you carry yourself.
Right.
It's like you're instantly radiating a sense of self-assurance.
It's about tapping into that inner confidence and letting it shine through your posture and presence. And speaking of subtle cues, Lowndes also highlights the power of the eyebrow flash. It's that quick, almost imperceptible lift of your eyebrows that happens when you make eye contact with someone you find appealing or interesting.
I've definitely noticed that.
Yeah.
It's like a silent, hey, I see you moment, but is it something we can consciously control?
While it often happens instinctively, we can absolutely become more mindful of it and use strategically to create those positive connections. It conveys a sense of warmth recognition and openness. It's a tiny gesture with a big impact.
It's incredible how these seemingly small nonverbal cues can speak volumes, isn't it?
It really is. And the beauty of it is that anyone can learn to master these techniques with a little bit of practice and self-awareness.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Now let's talk about compliments. Lowndes views them as a form of emotional currency.
I love that analogy.
Yeah,
It implies that we should be mindful of how we spend them.
precisely. A generic throwaway compliment might not have much impact. But a killer compliment, as Lowndes calls it, is personalized, specific, and authentic. It's like you're making a deposit into someone's emotional bank account, showing that you've truly been paying attention.
So instead of simply saying nice shoes,
Right.
you might say, wow, those shoes are fantastic. The color is so unique, and they really complement your outfit. You have great taste.
Exactly. You've gone beyond a surface level observation and acknowledged something specific that you genuinely appreciate about their choice. It feels more meaningful because it demonstrates that you've taken the time to truly notice and value their individuality.
It's like you're saying, I see you, and I appreciate your unique style. That's powerful. Lowndes also suggests becoming an undercover complimenter. What does that entail?
It's a clever technique where you praise someone to a third party, knowing that it will eventually get back to them. It's like a stealth compliment that carries even more weight because it comes from an indirect source.
It's almost like a testimonial. It feels more authentic because you weren't trying to gain anything directly from the person you were complimenting.
Yeah.
It adds an element of surprise and delight when they hear about it.
Exactly. It's a subtle way to make someone feel good without them feeling like you had an ulterior motive. Now, shifting gears a bit, let's acknowledge that life isn't always smooth sailing. We all encounter difficult conversations and conflicts. Lowndes provides valuable insights into navigating these challenges with grace and empathy.
This is where her three-sentence anger diffuser comes in. It's such a simple yet powerful technique for de-escalating tension and creating a space for understanding. Can you walk us through it?
Of course, the first sentence is all about acknowledging the other person's feelings. You might say something like, I understand you're upset, or I can see why you're frustrated. You're validating their experience without dismissing or minimizing their emotions.
It's about saying, I hear you and your feelings are valid. That alone can go a long way in diffusing a tense situation.
Right. The second sentence is where you express empathy and understanding. You might say, I would feel the same way if I were in your shoes, or it makes sense that you're feeling this way. You're demonstrating that you're trying to see things from their perspective.
It's about putting yourself in their shoes and showing that you genuinely understand where they're coming from.
And finally, the third sentence is where you pivot towards a solution. You might say, let's work together to find a solution, or I'm committed to making this right. You're shifting the focus from the problem to a collaborative approach to finding a resolution.
So you're not just acknowledging their feelings and empathizing with their perspective, but also taking proactive steps to address the issue and find common ground.
Precisely. And what I find so valuable about this technique is that it can be adapted to fit a wide range of situations. It's a versatile framework for approaching conflict with empathy, understanding, and a commitment to finding a win-win outcome.
Lowndes also emphasizes the importance of grace under pressure. It's about maintaining composure and responding thoughtfully, even when faced with challenging or emotionally charged situations.
Think of it like this. When we react impulsively, we often say or do things we later regret. But when we pause, take a breath, and respond with intention, we're more likely to navigate the situation effectively and preserve relationships.
It's about mastering our emotions rather than letting them master us. It's
Oh.
about choosing to respond rather than react.
Exactly. And this is where nonverbal communication comes back into play. Our tone of voice, our facial expressions, our body language, all of these convey a message when we can maintain a calm and centered demeanor. It helps to de-escalate the situation and create a space for productive dialogue.
It's like you're modeling the behavior you want to see in the other person when you remain calm and collected. It gives them permission to do the same.
Precisely, it creates a ripple effect of calmness and composure. Now, let's delve into one of the most intriguing aspects of communication, subliminal persuasion. Lowndes offers some fascinating techniques for creating those subtle yet powerful connections that make us memorable and influential.
This is where things get really interesting. I'm curious to learn how we can leverage these subtle techniques to make a lasting impression.
Lowndes argues that the key to being unforgettable is to create shared experiences, inside jokes, and those little moments of connection that make people feel special and understood.
One technique that caught my eye was the private joke bond. It's about creating those little inside jokes that only you and the other person share, instantly forging a sense of camaraderie and closeness.
It's like you're creating a secret language that only the two of you understand. It's a powerful way to build rapport and make someone feel like they're in on something exclusive and special.
And it doesn't have to be anything elaborate or pre-planned. It could be a funny observation you both shared, a silly word you mispronounced, or even just a knowing glance that acknowledges a moment of shared humor.
Exactly. It's those spontaneous moments of connection that create a lasting impression. Another technique Lowndes recommends is echoing words. It's about subtly repeating the other person's phrasing to show that you're fully engaged and listening attentively.
Though if someone says, "I've always been passionate about photography," you might respond with, "That's fascinating. What is it about photography that you find so captivating?"
You've got it by using their words. You're reflecting their interests back to them, making them feel heard and understood. It creates a sense of alignment and rapport, like you're speaking their language both literally and figuratively.
It's like you're saying, "I'm on the same wavelength as you." I can see how that would create a sense of connection and trust.
Precisely, these subtle techniques might seem insignificant on the surface, but they can have a profound impact on how people perceive you and how they feel about interacting with you. They're the building blocks of genuine connection and lasting influence.
Now, before we wrap up, I think it's crucial to touch upon the importance of cultural context, especially in today's increasingly interconnected world. Lowndes highlights the need to be a Renaissance communicator, someone who is knowledgeable about diverse topics and can adapt their communication style to fit any situation.
That's such a crucial point. Effective communication isn't a one-size-fits-all approach. What works in one culture or context might not translate well in another. Being mindful of cultural nuances and being willing to adapt our approach is key.
So it's not just about what we say, but also how we say it, taking into account the cultural background and communication style of the person we're interacting with.
Absolutely. It's about demonstrating respect, sensitivity, and a genuine desire to connect on the other person's terms. It's about being a student of the world, continuously learning and adapting.
It strikes me that all of Leil Lowndes' advice in how to talk to anyone
Yeah.
boils down to one core principle. We should treat every interaction as an opportunity to make the other person feel valued and respected.
It's about shifting our focus from self-promotion to genuine connection.
Lowndes reminds us that effective communication isn't about manipulation or
Right.
using tricks to get people to like us.
Yeah, it's about authenticity, empathy, and a genuine desire to connect with others on a deeper level.
It's about creating a space where people feel seen, heard, and appreciated.
Absolutely.
So much of Lowndes' advice resonated with me,
Yeah.
but if I had to pick one key takeaway, it would be this realization that we're all works in progress when it comes to communication.
It's an ongoing journey of learning, adapting, and refining our skills.
What stood out to you, Isabella?
Well, what fascinates me is how Lowndes seamlessly blends psychology, sociology, and practical advice. She provides these actionable techniques that we can start using immediately, but she also encourages us to understand the why behind the what.
It's not just about mimicking techniques, but about understanding the principles of human interaction.
Exactly. And that deeper understanding empowers us to adapt and apply these techniques in a way that feels authentic to us.
Now, for our listeners who are eager to put Lowndes' advice into practice,
Yeah.
what's one small step they can take this week?
I'd suggest picking one technique that really resonates with you
Okay.
and consciously try it out in your daily interactions.
Maybe it's the flooding smile, the topple gold mine, or the tree-sentence anger diffuser.
Yeah, the key is to start small. Observe how people respond and pay attention to how it makes you feel.
You might be surprised by the ripple effects that these subtle shifts can have.
Absolutely. And remember, the goal isn't perfection, it's progress.
It's about showing up with intention,
Yeah.
being present in our interactions, and striving to connect with others in a meaningful way.
Well said, listeners. We've reached the end of our deep dive into Leil Lowndes' How to Talk to Anyone.
Wow.
We hope this exploration has sparked your curiosity and provided you with valuable insights and techniques to enhance your communication skills.
Yeah, we encourage you to pick up a copy of the book and continue exploring these principles for yourself.
Absolutely.
Thank you for joining us on Wealth of Words.
Until next time, keep those conversations flowing and those connections strong.
See you next week.